All right, let's roll. Everybody's here. We got a bunch of people jumping in. If you're just jumping in, welcome. Just drop in the chat if you've been on this call before or not, and kind of where you are and what you're doing. And then as you get some questions, you can drop it in the Q&A. And in the chat, it says all panelists and all attendees. So you have the option of talking to just me and Ryan or everyone. If you want to talk to everyone, make sure you include all attendees. And we'll be on for about an hour, kind of talking about marketing, answering your questions, stuff like that. I love the fact that all these folks are in the on the Zoom with us. I'm going to be watching the Zoom. If you guys are on Facebook, you can go to fliphackinglive.com/Friday, fliphackinglive.com/Friday. It'll send you a Zoom link. You can jump on the Zoom. We'll answer your questions there. If you ask them in Facebook, I'm not watching it, but we will try to get to them later, possibly if we can. So I'm here with Ryan Smith. I put a post. He's the marketing ninja. He runs a company called Leadsmith. He was on a podcast recently that I did on the 7-Figure Flipping podcast. And if you're not a subscriber, I highly recommend you go to your podcast app, subscribe, listen to that podcast. We try to give away as much free content and things that we can talk about on the flipping and wholesaling side as possible and business building side. But Ryan has shared some like huge gold bombs on that podcast and at Flip Hacking Live last year. I wanted to bring him on and just kind of answer your questions about marketing. I think this is a hot topic all the time. It never seems to quiet down of like where to find deals. So Ryan, can you just give like the, I don't know, cliff notes of who you are and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks for having me, Bill. I appreciate it. My name's Ryan Smith. I run a company called Leadsmith. We help wholesalers and flippers run marketing campaigns. We either run them for them or we help them run them for themselves. I started off wholesaling by myself, and pretty quickly after that, teamed up with Bill and started working for him for several years. So I got to see, the ins and outs of a larger wholesaling company. And now I've, stepped off and now do just the marketing side.
All right. So I guess, oh my gosh. I don't know if you can see this, but Elena just dropped like massive questions, like 6 huge questions in the Q&A. Oh, awesome, yeah. Elena. I'm glad that you
on Zoom?
Open up the Q&A, on Zoom, and you can see it. So, hey, if you guys are just jumping in or you're here with us, if you got some questions, drop them in the Q&A while we're kind of introing and talking about whether marketing related, the future of the market, or anything you want to talk about. But I want to, while I have Ryan here today, I want to talk about marketing and kind of what we see going on with the market right now. So Ryan did moved around all inside of my company. Like you said, he was wholesaling before. I feel like when Ryan and I kind of teamed up, I remember like offering him a job, and I remember exactly, he sent me all of his lists. Like he was wholesaling in the market that I was building my company in, and it was towards the end of my first year. So we probably had, I don't know, 40 or 50 deals under our belt at that point, probably, and maybe 30 or 40, something like that. And seeing that list, it was all this niche stuff that Ryan was doing and stuff that I wasn't even looking at. And I just said, like, we just took a serious competitor off the street by bringing him into the fold instead of keeping him outside, because like the stuff that you were doing was amazing. I was doing these bigger lists, like equity lists. I was spending more money, but you were taking time and dialing in these really like niche type lists that you had and very targeted, distressed marketing pieces. It was just amazing to see that. And that's when I knew, I was like, this guy is a rock star in this world, like this marketing and data analytic type world is the way I look at it. So I'd say,
let me throw something in there, Bill, on top of that, which I appreciate those comments. One of the things that I think would help a lot of people out is, when I started wholesaling, you were already in the space. Your marketing budget far exceeded what I could spend. And I had to find a way to still be successful, even with a smaller marketing budget. And that's what led us down this path of, concentrating more on data, getting a little bit more specialized, because a lot of the bigger companies, they don't have the time to do it. So, I think it's a great way for smaller companies, even though they're bigger competitors in the market, to still be successful.
And that's what you talked about at Flip Hacking Live last year, right?
Yep.
Like your presentation last year, I gave you this task of saying, how do people with no budget, and maybe they have some time, or they have some money, but they're in competitive markets, they're going up against companies like mine. Like how do they do deals on either a limited budget or an area where they're in a competitive area? And so what were some of those tips from last year? Like maybe let's go back to that event. For a lot of people here probably either weren't there, or even if they were there, they probably listened, took notes, and didn't do anything with it, right? So what are some of those channels that maybe you're still using, or you've seen success over the last year that you would recommend for them?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that what it boils down to is life events. So what life events are out there that we can have access to that data, and then get in front of those people at the right time. So first off, I think that getting into your local county court records is kind of the start to everything. There's so much good information inside of there, whether it be like code violation information, code violation liens. You have utility liens, probates, divorces. I mean, the list just goes on and on, depending on what market you're in, depends on what data is available. But really, there's so much information in there. If you just create a system to, pull that data on a regular basis, I'm telling you, the big companies, they don't have the ability to do that on a consistent basis like you do if you're by yourself or you got a small company.
So let's say I get that data. So I get that information, and now I have a list. Let's just say I have a list of divorces, right? So what do I do with that now? Like, what's the next step?
Yeah. So, a lot of people are out there, contacting these people in different ways. If I had a list that was specific to divorces, I would write a letter to that person. I don't know necessarily that I would call out the divorce in the letter, but I would maybe create a bulleted list and say, look, hey, here's who I am. Here's what I do. I don't know if you know anybody that has ever had any of these circumstances happen to them, and then just create a bulleted list and throw divorce in there somewhere. And, just offer your help and say, hey, if there's a situation where you or somebody else is looking to sell their property, please reach out to me. We could probably help. And just kind of do it like that. And it'll speak to them directly, even though it doesn't call out their divorce.
So would you you mentioned a letter. Would you send them a letter versus a postcard? And if so, why or why not?
If you're small and if you're small and you need to maximize your budget, and you need to get everything you can out of every penny that you spend, I would send a letter. I think that you can put more information in the letter. I think that the response rate's going to be higher. And, a lot of companies are buying huge amounts of data and they want to touch a lot of people. That specific list, that divorce list, is not a list that everybody has. So you can afford to, since you spent some extra time on the data, you can spend more time and send them a letter that's nice and stuff like that.
So let's keep going down this hole. Like, how do I get them to open the letter instead of make it look like it's a window envelope with a cheap, it's clearly a marketing piece. Like, how do I make it look like a letter that they want to open?
Yeah, really, you want it to look like it's from your grandmother. Is really what it is. So here's an example of one. Let me cover up part of this guy's address. But this is a letter that is it's all handwritten. It's just got a stamp on it. This particular one right here is a probate. And for the probates, I buy like the really, really nice stationery, like the cotton envelopes, and, go all out. So it just depends on who you're targeting. But I think that, putting something like this, I mean, they're going to open it. There's just no two ways about it.
Did you screw up the return address on purpose there?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Because that looks like, oh crap, I messed up. I marked it out. I had to get it fixed. And did you write that yourself?
I wrote this one myself. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So I got a letter from Ryan this morning, by the way, in case anybody's wondering. I got a letter from Ryan this morning. I didn't know who it was, where it was, but I opened it. And now I'm not the perfect test case because I pretty much open everything and look at it because it's marketing. But I loved what I got today. It was a stamp that spoke to me. I got this handwritten. I was like, oh, what is this? This is interesting. It's from Pace, Florida. And I kind of opened it up. And I was like, oh, it's one of Ryan's marketing pieces is a letter that was written to me, right? And so I think, a lot of that stuff is smart. The thing that I don't like about sending letters personally is that I have to get them the step of opening it. But in this case, when it's really niche down stuff, like I like there could be, you can think about how creative you can get. You can get the invitation envelopes and put a certain stamp on there. They can buy a bunch of stamps that are maybe like a seasonal type stamp that is not something that a marketing company would send, and kind of do like handwrite it, or pay your son or daughter or a high school kid to handwrite a bunch of envelopes for you, so you don't have to do it. That's pretty cheap, especially if you have some free labor at your house. So all of that stuff can be a great way to go. I think so. That's if you were going to send them some mail. Okay, there's a couple other options, right? What about what else would you potentially do with that? Is there something other than mail that you would consider doing?
Hey, let me add one more thing to that, Bill. On that letter that I sent you, that specific letter looked a little bit more business-like than what I typically send. But the way that I offset that is I'll throw a couple extra penny stamps on there. They're super cheap, and it just makes it look weird. Like, why do they have this forever stamp on there and then a couple extra penny stamps? I could get a roll of thousands of them for, $30. So it's not expensive, but it makes it look different. I don't know if you noticed that on there, but it should have had some extra penny stamps. So
I think you skimped on my penny stamps, but it did look more of like a business letter. But you're sending it was a kind of a business letter, right? Right. And so there, like your return address was like stamped on, as opposed to handwritten on. So I noticed a lot of that stuff, but that's definitely a letter that I would open. It almost looked like it was from an attorney. Like right. So I've gotten those letters before, unfortunately, but when I was looking at it, I was like, this looks like it's from an attorney. So there's some other option about like cold calling or texting or things like that. You can take that data and skip trace it, right? So would you recommend doing that on some of this niche type stuff?
Oh, absolutely. I think that the more ways that you try to reach out to these people, the better. Texting is really popular right now. If you are comfortable on the phones, you can get on the phone and reach out to these people. You can also try to email them as well. As long as you're not talking about a list of 40,000 people, it's a lot more manageable if you're trying to get in contact with, a smaller list of people.
Yeah, and I know you've had a lot of success with email marketing, and you do a lot of that. So if you want to get into big bulk email marketing and things like that, there's a lot of different things that you can do. But honestly, you can just skip trace them and grab their email and shoot them a quick email, and basically put the same information as the letter in there, right? It's tailored to an email.
Exactly. One thing after testing a ton in the email world, the most success that we've had is creating curiosity. So it would be sending a letter to you. It'd be sending an email to you. It would have your property address in the subject line. And it would say, hey, Bill, do you happen to own a property at whatever the address is? And people they want to know what in the world this is about. So I think that that's a good approach. And then once they respond back, then you can kind of provide more detail about who you are, what you do, and things like that. Because we really just need them to reply.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is just direct response marketing, right? You're reaching out and going after them. So Arthur asked, who do you use to skip trace data? What platform do you use for email marketing? So I personally in my company use Rob Badhorn, Lead Fusion for our skip trace data. And then you use them too?
Yep.
Okay. Ryan does too.
All the time.
So Rob's going to be at Flip Hacking Live. So I just worked with him. He's going to be one of the booth presenters at Flip Hacking Live, like an exhibitor there. And it's one of the sponsor supports. So pretty cool. Him and Ernie Vargas are going to be there and sharing kind of some of the stuff that they do in skip tracing world, inheritance, probates, stuff like that. So you'll be able to talk to them there if you have a ticket for sure. I'm actually I think I'm doing a call with them in like an hour as well. So we'll be talking about the event. Let's see. Let's go into some of these questions, I think. Let's see. Elena has a ton of questions. So she asked, what is the difference between the do not call list and litigation list? And how to do a due diligence on this for cold calling, ringless voicemail, and text messages. So a do not call list versus a litigation list, and how do you make sure that you're doing the right due diligence on it before you're calling the folks that are on there?
Sure, absolutely. So so the do not call list is going to be a lot larger than the litigation list. The do not call list are people that opted out of they're on the national do not call registry. So those are the people that are on that. The litigation list are people that they have identified as being highly litigious. I said that right? Litigious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So people that have shown in the past that they are very happy to sue other people. So anyway, both of those are lists. You can go online, and there's services where you can just upload your list and it'll automatically remove them. A lot of the companies have that built in. Some of your list providers and things like that, they can give you that data when you order it.
Yeah, that's what I've noticed. Even inside of some of the platforms that we use for texting and stuff like that, they'll have the list built in. Now, I'm not necessarily doing the due diligence on that that list versus the other list. So, if that makes sense, like I'm not checking the platform that I'm using against the do not call list. I'm just assuming that they're using that. And then just think of it like likely to litigate. They're likely to sue you is that list. And that's usually a pretty good list to just avoid. They may not be on the do not call, or they may be on there, but they're likely to sue you. So stay away from them. And so a lot of those companies will do that. The other thing is some of the skip tracing services may, if you ask them, hey, can you remove the do not call or the likely to litigate list, they may kind of overlap those and remove them before sending them to you if you wanted, or potentially put them on a different tab. I don't know if Rob does that or not, but I've seen quite a few people do that. Yep. So someone on Facebook said, I just got a popcorn mailer from Lead Smith. Great marketing.
Yep, that's us.
Yeah, I know. That was like the funniest thing when you sent me that for the first time.
Yeah.
Ryan gets all these ideas and tests them out on me. I'm the guinea pig a lot of times.
I know. Wait till you see what you get tomorrow.
Great. I'm looking forward to it. But it's interesting. It's very creative thinking, right? Like sometimes I think like, how can I? Like the bottom line is you're trying to get in front of somebody who you think could be having this life event or some distress going on, who might be interested in selling their house. But how do I get them to open it? How do I get them to pay attention? How do I stand out from everybody else? This crowd of like, and sometimes it takes a little bit of ingenuity, a little bit of thought. And so if I really want to get somebody's attention, I'll give you an example. I'm not going to say who it was, or I'm not going to say what we were trying to get in front of this person for. And I'm probably not even going to give you all the details, but we found out this person that we wanted to get their attention, right, is somebody who is on our like Dream 100 list, somebody who I wanted to talk to and have a conversation with. We decided to just have this like 2-week blitz of sending things to them. Like we figured out what they like, who they are, like a little bit of research on this person, right? And they're like, if you knew who this person was, you could find this information. It's pretty public. Like they're out there, they're doing Facebook Lives and podcasts and events and all that stuff. And so found out kind of like their background, and then just came up with creative ways and creative things to send them. And it was like these 2 weeks of just like mailing stuff to their house. And we're in real estate, so it's not really hard to find somebody's address for their house, right?
Right.
And we sent like all kinds of stuff to their house. Yeah. And it was interesting. Like if I got that, I'd be like, all right, fine. I'm breaking down and finally responding to you. Like it's time to set up a meeting and talk. And we did. We got his attention, listened to us for a while. We created a video, sent it to him, started talking, had a conversation. It's like, and it may have cost a couple $100, maybe $500 to send all this stuff, but it's potential like, I don't know, multi-million-dollar company that could be creating information from this. So just think about that. Like, what are you doing? Think of yourself as a marketer. Don't think of yourself as a flipper or a wholesaler. And you're not in the real estate business. You're in the marketing business right now, trying to get their attention, right? Then what you do on the back end is in the real estate business. So.
Yeah, I think that one thing people lose sight of is they go from, hey, I have a list of people here that have some type of situation, to like, hey, I want to figure out how to buy their house, like all in one step. So, I mean, the first thing is get in touch with them. Let's get that part done. Once we get in touch with them, then we can work on the next step. So Just take it one step at a time.
Yep. So the follow-up question from Elena is how to make sure that the company that you hire for cold calling, ringless voicemail, and texting is doing that due diligence of the litigation list, do not call list, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a good question. You just put your number in there, and then a couple other employees or friends, and see how they respond to you. So when they cold call, how was the conversation? Lead them on a little bit and tell them you have a house, but you're not sure, and see how they handle themselves.
I think that's a great answer. I think I love that. Everybody write that down. I think Elena was asking about like how to know that the do not call list and likely to litigate. My answer is like ask them and make sure. And if you're hiring a third party provider, then like figure out what the contract is that you guys have with them and who's responsible if they do call somebody on the do not call list and
Gotcha.
You get litigated. Like, is it them or is it you? Are they dropping your name of your company and all that stuff and throwing you under the bus? Just have that conversation up front. We've hired a couple of those cold calling companies. I haven't been very impressed with them. So maybe there's some people that have had success. What I found is a lot of times when you're small, you're looking for that, you're looking for that golden bullet, right? That person who's they're just gonna drive me a ton of leads. Maybe there is somebody on this call or somebody in our Facebook group that can recommend some really great providers. The people that I've seen that have had a lot of success with this are building it in-house primarily, or using a service that, like a text platform, that they're inputting the information and doing the texting, or they have a small team, or they hire somebody to do it. I'd say the agencies I've struggled with a little bit, and I'll just be honest with everybody. All the agencies primarily for a lot of that stuff, and we've used a couple. But I don't think this is a platform to throw specific providers under the bus. But I don't know, Ryan, what do you think about that? Like, there's a point where you're just getting started, you don't have a lot of time, but you have some money. Maybe there is an agency to hire to do some of that stuff. And I mean, you're one of those agencies, right? So we've had a lot of success with Ryan in this kind of niche marketing because we just don't have time to do it. And Ryan does a lot of that. He does consulting, and he is an agency. So what do you think? Like, maybe I'll shift the question a little bit. Like, how do you find a good agency? Like, what do you ask, and how do you make sure that you're hiring somebody that's valuable and worth it?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's tough. There's a lot of people out there that are claiming that they can make it happen. What I would do is try to go off a recommendation from other people, find other people that have done it, have used that service, and then if possible, start off small. I mean, don't start off with this massive budget. Give them a little bit, start tracking your KPIs, and see really how it compares to your other marketing channels as far as dollars in versus dollars out. But before that, cost per lead and things like that. So I think it's just start slow, and then if it's performing, pour more money onto it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I like that. Referrals and recommendations from people that you trust are the best. Like, you can ask inside of our Facebook group, that 7-figure house flipping and wholesaling group, and I will give you positive recommendations for sure. And there's probably a bunch of people that will tell you who to stay away from too in there.
Yeah.
If I knew the names of the companies, I'll drop them in there, and I put them in our mastermind group inside the Runway and Altitude group. Like, we have this like these companies are great, these companies are not great, stay away from them. So there's like this almost like the do not call list that we have for agencies, right? That just haven't worked. And it seems like a lot of these people will just bring in new folks, 3 to 6 months, churn them out, bring in new folks. It's a front end marketing budget. And just remember, they're trying to make money too. So
I think you made a great point though with anybody that I've seen be successful long-term with either cold calling or RVM or SMS, all of them have brought it in-house eventually. And I'm not saying that to say that there's nobody out there that can provide you good service as an agency, because I don't know, but I'm just saying that most people, they bring it in-house.
Yeah. And I think for me, it's been controlling the product a little bit, like controlling and be able to shift fast. Yeah. And so I was talking to somebody recently about marketing for his business. And I said, I said, it's time that you bring that like marketing director seat in-house, just because you're big enough. You've got to the point where you need, even if you pay a little bit more upfront, you can shift and make adjustments and change really fast. You can get the quality control that you need. If the market changes or adjusts, then you can make an adjustment. You can do your script, you control some of it, manage the staff, those kind of things. But in the beginning, I've used a ton of like pay-per-click providers in the beginning, just because I'm not going to go figure out how to run Google AdWords campaigns.
Sure.
And so for years, I used an agency. I used Andy McFarland's agency for years on pay-per-click, and then eventually brought it in-house. And that was just the answer. I said, look, we can afford to bring it in-house now, hire somebody that knows Google AdWords. And I think pay-per-click is a great one to use as an example. I think those agencies are great. And then Ryan still does all of our niche stuff. Ryan's our agency for all the niche stuff. Like Leadsmith is who we use for all of our niche deals. I'm not hiring somebody to go down to the courthouse and pull records and sit on a computer and do all that stuff. This is what he does, and he's great at it. And the return is insane. Like we're actually going to talk about a deal inside the Flip Hacking Live group. So we set up a group for everybody that has Flip Hacking Live tickets. So this week we did a call with Chad. Chad did all dialed people's sellers and stuff and was like trying to close deals over the phone.
Nice.
And everybody's been saying my plan next week is to have Ryan in there, and me and Ryan are going to break down one of the deals that we did using his return mail tool. That was an amazing deal for us. And I think we just got a couple more. So we did a podcast together. We talked about one of the strategies that he used. So if you haven't heard that podcast, go to the 7-Figure Flipping podcast and listen to Ryan's episode. For that tip. And what did we make on that? Like $40,000 or something? 50?
Yeah. It was, we've had some huge ones in here the last month or two.
Yeah, and then he just created a skip return mail tool that you can get all the mail back, you scan it in and put it in a database. And so he told me we just got another deal from using this tool. So inside the Flip Hacking Live group next week, Chad's going to come back and call sellers again. You guys have demanded him to come back, so he's going to. And then Ryan is going to come in, and him and I are going to talk about that deal that we did. So this is the kind of stuff that we're doing inside that Flip Hacking Live group, because it's like an extension of the event. We kind of kicked that off 30 days prior. So obviously, I want you to get the tickets to the event, come into that group, and we're going to be doing some cool stuff in there. Okay, Elena, I'm going to jump around to a couple other questions, and then I'll come back to yours. So I got a question from Austin, and he said he's at a point where he's got some money to start flipping. He said, what is his best strategy to create a monthly marketing budget to find leads? What do you recommend for a flipper who's just getting started, who's trying to find deals? Like, do you recommend that they market on their own, or do you recommend that they work with wholesalers, or what do you recommend?
It depends on how fast they need to get deals coming in. So if they have 2 or 3 months where they can go without getting a deal under contract, they can start trying to do some of it themselves. If they need to get started right away, I'd hop on some wholesalers list and buy directly from them. And then work your way to the point where you can start marketing, either hire an agency to market for you or market in-house.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with that. I think the marketing game as a wholesaler is a kind of like more of a long-term game. It's possible that you get a deal. It took me 4.5 months to get my first deal, and I was spending about $3,000 a month on just the marketing side, maybe $2,500 a month in marketing. And this was in 2015, by the way. So those numbers are going to change today. But obviously also I wasn't able to answer my phone. I was only going to hot leads. I wasn't able to go on sales appointments on a regular basis, things like that. So there is a lot of differences in different people and what their skill sets are. So the problem that I have with flippers wanting to do marketing is I feel like the wholesalers are a marketing and sales company, marketing, sales, transaction management type company. And flippers are really responsible for finding contractors, raising money, networking for deals, and then and project management. They're really good at managing the project, budgets, timelines, scopes of work, things like that, making sure that all that side of things are done. It's two very different businesses, in my opinion. So just be careful doing that. And maybe you can just do some more networking. Like at Flip Hacking Live, Jesse Trujillo is going to come. He's in San Diego. This guy's doing 80 deals a year with no marketing budget. He's in San Diego, California, by the way. He's going to tell you how he did it, like what he does. So as a flipper that's just getting started that has money, like what if you could use that money that you had for either down payments on the loans that you're getting on properties, and you can do 2 flips or 3 flips instead of 1 at a time with the money that you have. And you're not like marketing, unless you're building a marketing machine over and over and over again, you're willing to go 6 months. And basically what I said is, I'm going to take this money, I'm going to flush down the toilet 6 months later if it doesn't work. And after 4.5 months, I kind of hit the jackpot, made 10 grand, and was off to the races after that. And so that's my recommendation to you is consider, using that money and say, like, what is your skill set? And if you want to flip and that's what you're really good at, and raising capital, hiring contractors, managing projects, those kind of things are what you're really good at, then don't build a marketing machine yet. Like, go find deals. Like, if Jesse can find 80 deals a year in San Diego from networking, so can you. You can find 1 or 2 in your city, whatever your city's name is. Insert city here, you have no excuse because Jesse's doing 80 in San Diego. And so, and he's going to show you how to do it at Flip Hacking Live. You can get your ticket, go to fliphackinglive.com, grab your ticket. If you guys are new and you've never been on this call before, it's an event that we put on every October. It's October 15th, 16th, and 17th. It's virtual this year. You can go to the page, check it out. I'll talk a little bit about it towards the end of the call. I've got some exciting stuff to share. Ryan has given me a bonus to tell you about this time. So let's see. Anthony asked, do you email and or it's probably, do you email and or call probate executors? Do you email, it says and or probate executors. So do you email or call them?
So I have emailed them before. That's not my first step. Like, I want to reach out kind of passively at first and present myself well. If time goes on, I would certainly be open to emailing them. I talk to people all over the country all the time. And I've talked to somebody within the last week that said with their specific market, they had been mailing probates for a bit and hadn't had much luck. But when they started cold calling the probate list, the executors, they started getting some traction there. So I think it's worth a shot. I'm not like an expert on the phone. So if I want to do something like that, I'd have to hire it out. I think that those are both good ideas. I think it's just, like anything else, test it in your market and see how it is. I would take a very, kind of soft approach to the call though, low pressure.
Yeah. There's something interesting that Ryan just said there that most of you probably didn't pick up on. Ryan said he's not very good on the phone or doesn't really like to talk on the phone. So that's going to tailor what Ryan does and his strategy. And if you're really good at talking on the phone, and you're not really good at sitting down and writing this great copy on a letter or something or an email, and it's just not what you enjoy doing, then maybe talking on the phone is better. I agree with Ryan. Like, I'd just be careful with like what you say, how you say it, structure that script really carefully if you're talking to an executor of an estate, because that may be the spouse of the person that passed away, or you never know what you're going to get, right? So I would just be careful. Email is definitely a little bit lower, maybe not as aggressive to them at first. So just think about that, like what you're going to say, how you're going to say it. And while we're on that topic, Wendy asked, court records for probate lists. I've been trying to find out info. I'm trying to find info. I've called and spoke with several people at the county. I've not been able to find how to get a list of probate. I've been told it's like having a runner. Is this true? Can I actually get this information myself?
It depends on, does she say where she lives?
No, but we can ask. Market? Let me make sure she's still on. Wendy, if you can put in your market, that would help. But it is definitely market dependent of where some of them are online, some of them are in person, some of them you have to get through 3 different people to get the right person that will say that, yes, you can get it. So what is your technique if you find out they're saying no, like, sorry, we can't give you that information from the court records and stuff?
Yeah. So there's a few different ways. So some people some areas will have it on. Wendy's in Orange County, Florida. Okay. So here's the deal in Florida. I think that's her, right?
Yep.
Okay. So here's the deal in Florida. They have some type of some law or whatever else where you can't put probate up on the court websites and just let anybody see it. So whenever you go to those court websites, there's a few different types of users you can be. You can be the public that goes in to just view whatever's there. Those will not allow you to see probate records at all. And then they have a registered user, and then they have an attorney, and I think there might be one other one. Anyway, what you want to do is you want to become a registered user. And I've done this in countless counties in Florida. And typically what you'll do is you'll go online, you'll download a PDF form that you have to fill out, and you'll request access as a registered user on their system. Most of them, you can submit it online or email, and they'll get you set up with an account, and you'll have to log in with the username and password, which is free. There are a couple of them that I've run into that required you to get a notary. So I've went and gotten a notarized the form that I signed, and then I mail it in, and then they get my account set up that way. Either way, once you go through that process, you can see everything online. Nothing's blacked out. You can see everything. So Florida's actually really, really good for that.
Okay, while you were talking about that, somebody said, what about King County and Seattle? Do you know anything about Washington probate records?
No, I don't know off the top of my head. You'd have to look at you'd have to go and chat with them. But if it's not available online, I do know some people that, they actually do have to go down to the courthouse. So that is the situation in some places. If you either can't go to the courthouse, you aren't willing to, or that isn't an option or whatever else, there's data providers out there that can get it. So I would be looking at buying data from somebody that can provide it.
Matt asked who that is in King County. He wants to be connected. So his name is Keith. Matt and Keith, you guys get together in Seattle and use our Facebook group. Use the 7-Figure House Flipping and Wholesaling Facebook group. And if you're if you got a ticket to Flip Hacking Live, go on that Flip Hacking Live page and introduce yourselves. Let them know. Say where you are. There's a ton of networking going on in there. People getting on each other's lists. It's awesome. Okay, Arthur asked to use water shutoff lists to market to, and if so, how do you get those?
Yeah, absolutely. So those are hit or miss, really. Some areas you can go in, and what we'll do is I'll go to a city, and let's say that it's Atlanta, Georgia. I'll just do a Google search on Atlanta, Georgia water company. Every single company that pops up under that search, I'll collect all their email addresses, and I'll start there, and I'll send them a letter and say, hey, I would like to make a Freedom of Information Act request. And you need to tell them exactly what you want. Hey, I'd like a list of every property that has not had water service for, at least 3 months. And one thing you have to be careful of, there's a lot of people that are selling on the MLS. They may have the water turned off for a short period of time. You don't want those. So you got to be specific about what you want. And then, submit it that way. Some of them are going to come back and tell you, hey, tough luck, we're not going to give it to you. Some of them will just send you an Excel sheet with the exact data on it. And it works a lot easier than you ever think it should. So it's hit or miss. One thing that I found is it's a lot harder to get it from private water companies than it is from public ones. If the email doesn't work, you could try following up with a phone call. But it's hit or miss. I mean, sometimes we get them, sometimes we don't. There's also a list in some places called a zero use list. So you could request a zero use list, just people that haven't used it. Make sure you just give them the criteria though, of what you want. Like, hey, they've had zero use for the last 4 months or whatever else.
If you just take a little bit of time, there's a lot of different angles that you can use to look at this stuff. Like it might take a little bit of work, might take calling a couple different times, a couple different people, but it's definitely worth it. Like this is, and once you've got it down, the interesting thing is once you understand how to do it, it's repeatable. You can just repeat that now. You know what to ask, what to say, and then every single month you can get that data and that information to update your list, right?
Yeah.
Okay, is this good stuff? Are you guys enjoying this? Let me know in the comments if you want us to keep going. We got about 15, 20 minutes left. This is a bunch of more long questions here. Okay. Arthur said, thank you. Jennifer said, yes. So one person's happy with your responses so far.
Well, good.
Okay.
I'm glad. If we make one person happy, we're good.
I want to wake some of these people up. We got like 50 people on this call and a bunch of people on Facebook. Like, wake up, everybody. All right, this is great. Okay. Elena said, Bill, Ryan, thank you very much. It's amazing that you take time out of your day to help others. Please know this much appreciated. There we go. Okay, good.
You're welcome.
All right, I got a couple more questions here. Matt said, side note, just be careful not to rely on wholesalers' numbers, run your own numbers. Most of the local wholesalers have numbers that don't align with how I evaluate deals. I totally agree with that. We were mentioning flippers and buying from wholesalers, like run your own numbers, do everything. Like we don't even put ARVs and repair estimates out anymore. I used to on my list, but I'm done with that. Like everybody has a different idea of what their ARV is going to be, a different idea of what their repair costs are. So I'm not convincing you on what your numbers should be. I'm telling you what we're offering this property at,
right,
and what my fee is, and then you can just tell me. Nobody's ever said that my rehab budget is way too much. Like it's crazy. Like I don't need to spend $80,000. I only need to spend 30. Like nobody ever told me that, and nobody ever told me that my ARV is too low. So like it's I don't know. Me and Ryan used to run dispositions for us, so. This was like the last thing that I was going to give up, that and like the marketing and the money side of things. And I remember Ryan coming in, and me and him would just talk all the time about these crazy people that are responding to our stuff and how do we sell the contract, right? How do we best sell the contract? And we eventually I was like, take it off, man. Just, we're done. I'm done.
Yeah. You'd have people that want to argue for 30 minutes about the ARV and have zero interest in the property. So yeah, just don't waste your time talking to those people.
Yeah.
Not worth it.
It says, Wendy asked, how do you reach out to the water list homeowners? Do you call them? What do you do? I mean, is it any different than anything else?
No, not really. I always, like, whenever I have a new list, with exception of like probate or something that's very, very sensitive, I would say, I always send out a postcard first, because I'm always sending out postcards. So I'll send out a postcard, and for 30 something cents, you can see if it comes back. If it doesn't come back, then I'll send them something nicer. But I always like test my list the first time with a postcard, unless it's something super specialized. And that way you can quickly find out if the address is good or not. If it comes back, skip trace it and get their updated address. Because a lot of times, a lot of those will have bad addresses. And that's really what you want to find out.
Okay, so you send out a postcard almost like a test to say,
Yep.
Instead of sending a dollar letter or spending a bunch of time on it and stuff like that, then when it comes back, you'll skip trace it and update it. So you'll use your return mail scanning tool. You'll get it on that list. You'll skip trace that, and then you'll figure out what their new address is, update the mailing address, then send more expensive type marketing materials.
Exactly. I hope it comes back. I hope that first one comes back, because I mean, that just means nobody else is going to get in front of them. They don't have the list. They're not going to follow up on the mailer. So it's easy to win those when you're the only one in front of the people.
Yeah. So that's a gold nugget right there. I hope you guys all wrote that down. Like, we have boxes and boxes of return mail at the office, and Brian will get it at his house and be like, what do you want me to do with this before? And that's when he created this return mail tool. And that's what we're going to talk about in this, the call that we do next week inside the Flip Hacking Live group is how we may, I think it was like a $30,000 deal, if I'm not mistaken, something like that. Like from this, because nobody else is hitting these folks. And so we shared it on the podcast. I think we sent out an email to everybody. Ryan, I don't know if you have the link for us, but if you could drop it in the chat, I'll grab the next question for that return mail tool. If anybody wants to get it, check it out. Like, go to the landing page. You guys can check it out. It's really cheap. I think it's like $100 or something. It's probably, and it's a one-time fee. So something that I would recommend everybody have if you're sending any kind of mail. But Ryan's got a landing page and some information about it. Okay. David sent you a message, Ryan. He wants to buy you coffee, breakfast, lunch, something like that. So maybe you can put your contact info in there too, if you want, like how people can reach out to you. And stick around till the end. If you guys stick around to the end of the call, I've got something pretty cool that I was able to get Ryan to accept. So stick around to the end, and you may be able to get that breakfast, lunch, phone call, whatever from Ryan. I'll say that both Ryan and I are extremely busy, especially leading up to Flip Hacking Live and everything that Ryan's doing. But if you guys are interested in working with him, he'll put his information in the chat for you. Let's see, Phil, you keep asking Louisville, Kentucky, but I'm not exactly sure what you want to know about it. Maybe it's the probate stuff in Louisville. If you just update that, I'll I'll get back to this question. Randy's asked for your information a couple times. You just dropped it in there.
I just dropped it in there in the Zoom.
Okay, so Diana asked, when contacting water companies for freedom of information, do you request it with a personal or business email, or does it matter?
I try to not appear like a marketing company. So I will create a fake person, like a fake persona. And, I would just send it from some random person. If some of them will come back. I've had them come back in the past and ask me, they would only give it to me if I lived in that state, which is kind of weird. If that happened, I would not respond with that one. Then I would send them a mail from like my actual name. So I could send them my ID and it matches the name of the person in the email. But anyway, I've run into that before. But yeah, I would just try to act like a normal person. I wouldn't have like we buy houses or anything like that.
Yeah, so not a business address that says
no.
Buy houses cash at gmail.com.
No. Yeah, just a personal name one.
Okay. Nikki said, what's your view on sending letters or postcards after seeing a rundown house in a decent neighborhood? So like driving for dollars type stuff.
Yeah, if you're doing
saying like letters or postcards, what do you recommend?
Yeah, if you're doing like one-offs and stuff like that, definitely letters. Absolutely.
Oh, Ryan, can you here? I'll send. I'm going to copy and paste this. We got to put it to all panelists and all attendees. So can you copy and paste that again and send it to all panelists and all attendees so everybody? Thanks. Let's see. Oh, Phil said yes, probate stuff. So we were talking about Louisville, Kentucky for probate stuff. Do you know anything about Kentucky probate? You were talking about like how do you get it, stuff like that. I'll say, I don't know. Do you know anything about that state?
Not off the top of my head. I don't. No.
Okay. I would just drop that question in our free group, in the 7-Figure House Flipping and Wholesaling group. If you're not a member, join the group. Sharon Bornholt's in there. She lives in Kentucky. She can answer your question about probate and how to get that stuff in that city.
Nice.
Better than anybody that I know. She lives there. So, and she knows probate really, really well. So, Derek said, thanks, Bill. Great to see that you're doing well after the Navy. Yeah. The Navy still got its claws in me. I still am a reservist in the Navy. So, okay. If you guys have some more questions, drop them in. I'm going to go back to Elena. Elena's got a couple more. She said, I'm new and I've only done one deal and it was in 2016. What do I tell the sellers if they ask about my experience? I don't like to lie, but would staying honest result in not closing on deals? My answer to that, Elena, is no. Like, I remember when I was getting started, I was just open and honest with people. I didn't tell them that I have no idea what I'm doing and this is my first deal I've ever done. But I also didn't tell them that I've closed 100 deals already and I know all the ins and outs of real estate. They don't care. Like, they just want their problem solved. They have a problem, and if you can fix their problem, then you're their hero, right? And so I just went in there. I treated them like a person, got to know them, built rapport. And if I could get the deal done and do the deal, then I did. It didn't matter if I didn't have a lot of experience. And a lot of times I leaned on that. Like, I actually said that, hey, I'm not exactly sure what to do here, but I have an attorney, or I have a title company, or I have somebody else that could help me kind of navigate some of this stuff. So let me find out and get back to you. I think the big thing is when you sound like a sleazeball, you're lying. It's very obvious that you don't know what you're talking about. And that's where you get yourself in trouble. So I don't think you have to go in there and say, the fact that you did a deal in 2016, like, that's more than most people. Like, that first deal is the hardest thing to do. I think going from 0 to 1 is the hardest step. And the fact that you even have that experience, you have a leg up on me when I got started. And so we were all there once, right? So, interesting piece is a lot of folks actually like that. Like, they want to help somebody who's just if it's a landlord that's really seasoned and you're just getting started, a newer investor. Like, we have a multifamily deal that we're doing right now that the guy's holding a $6.1 million note back at like 3.5% interest because he wants to help us out. Like, he liked Chad and he was young and like a gunslinger, and he reminded himself of him when he was younger, and he wanted to help us out. Like that's big, right? So I think be yourself, be authentic, be honest. You don't need a bunch of experience to do deals, but be confident also. So like walk in there like you got $1 million in your pocket. That's what I always used to tell myself before every appointment, and my sales team is like, walk in there like you could buy any house. You got $1 million, but don't sound arrogant, cocky, make stuff up. Just be yourself. Anything to add on that, Ryan?
That's a great answer. One thing, I always try to look smaller than what we really are. So like with your company, I always try to make it look like just a random person reaching out to another random person. I don't throw business names in there or anything like that. I always like to look small.
Yeah. And it's interesting because we have that 1-2 combo, because I like to look big. Like
right.
I want to be when I mail, I want to be the company that is spending a ton of money on you every single month. So eventually when you're ready to sell your house and when you have a life event, then you know that my company can buy your house because we've been spending money mailing to you over and over and over. We're still there. We're not going away. Even the 1 star that I got on Google today of a review saying I harass people via the mail. So that person's upset.
Never done business, but they got a review.
Yeah, I know. And nobody will remove it. So driving for dollars. Besides getting property addresses, pictures, and skip tracing, what other research needs to be done prior to contacting leads via direct mail or other means?
That's it.
I think just send it to them. Like if you find a junky house, one thing that I always used to like to do when I was driving for dollars is go out on trash day and see if I could find the crappy houses that didn't have the trash cans out, that hopefully were vacant and crappy. Sometimes you find the crappy houses are just crappy and people are living there and stuff like that. So, just think of different. I used to walk through different areas with my family and just write down addresses, talk to the neighbors. There's a neighbor in every neighborhood that knows everybody's business, like everything that's going on. You can find that neighbor, they can hook you up with some serious deals. But yeah, I think just get some of that information and send the mail or call them or text them. That's it. I'd rather hit more people than try to scrub that list really, really hard. And that's like every list that I do. What?
I think Bill froze. Bill, you froze there for a minute.
Oh, am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Okay. For me, or is it okay to outsource sooner? So let me answer that because I'm pretty passionate about this. You do not have to figure everything out on your own. Now, it's going to cost you some money to outsource some things. And so it's got a time versus money, but you got to really value your time like it's really valuable too. Like your time has to have a value. And I didn't do that when I got started. I really didn't think about my time having a certain amount of value. And so really think about that. I don't think that you have to figure everything out on your own. I think you're really strong in a certain place. You need to lean into that. Like you stay strong, be strong, like lean into your strengths and figure out how to fortify your weaknesses. And so I don't think you need to master all the steps first. I know people who don't know how to do anything in the real estate business and run a successful business. It's really impressive to see that, but they're really good at managing people and process and systems. They're not necessarily really good at like marketing or sales or data analytics and stuff like that. So I saw Ryan. I saw lots of different people. Like the cool thing is Ryan has come up through like my company. Like we got to know each other when he was getting started and I was getting started. He worked with me. We worked together for quite a few years. We still work together now on more of like a consulting basis. And then Ryan went and started his own business. And so I saw this growth and this development in him that was really interesting. I'm actually writing a book right now. And Ryan, I just finished your chapter. I told your story a little bit in there. And so if you're coming to Flip Hacking Live, I got a surprise for you. But Ryan, I was telling this piece about mindset in there that you reached out to me recently, Ryan, like, I don't know, a year ago, probably. And to see the transformation and change that you went through and where you are now, running your own company, hiring people and managing the process and like people always are like, I don't know if I want to pour into somebody because they're just going to go do it on their own. Like they're going to leave me. It's okay. Like let your kids grow up and like fly the coop and leave the nest. Right. it means I guess I am like indirectly calling Ryan like one of the kids of blackjack, right? We're all running his sales training platform and doing multifamily deals, and Ryan's running his Leadsmith and doing marketing for other people. And Dee Dee was my first hire, and she's out running her own business doing tax planning and accounting and stuff like that for other people. So these are 3 people that were inside my company who were very instrumental in my success and the company's success that are now out doing their own thing, and we are still fine. Like, we are doing okay. We're running our company, and there's other people that will come in and blossom like that. So I think the cool part about what you're saying is like, don't be afraid to bring somebody in. Don't be afraid to outsource, but you don't need to be the expert. There was a time when I remember I was trying to be the expert at everything. And I looked around at our table, and maybe you remember, Ryan, it was at the, I don't know, that hotel right there on I-10.
Interstate.
Yeah. And I looked around the conference room and I was like, you know what? Like, this is broken. Something's wrong. Like, every time there's a problem, everybody just looks at me. Like, we don't have the right people that are the experts at what they do sitting in that seat of their field. Like, they're looking at me for the answer. And I will never be able to get away from this. And we're never going to be able to grow past where we are right now, because I'm the person that knows the most. Like, I need the other people that can, like, I need that marketing person that can like be way past me, and the salesperson that be way past me, way better than me, and the phone person that can think on their own and have new ideas and concepts way more than me. So as far as starting to outsource, like hopefully this is Elena. I think you are. Hopefully, Elena, you're coming to Flip Hacking Live, because that's what we talk about a ton, is building your team, building a business, outsourcing, stuff like that. But you don't have to wait to master everything. I would get a decent handle on what's going on. You don't want to, you want to know how to have some checks and balances in there and hold people accountable. But I definitely don't know how to build like the marketing funnels that Kyle knows how to build, or write the best copy emails that he does, or this crazy stuff Ryan Smith's doing for my company right now. I don't know how to do that stuff. He's doing it. He's the mastermind behind it, and I outsource that stuff. So don't be afraid to do that. It might cost you some time and some money and things like that. So Wendy asked, do they have probate lists for multifamily also, or just single family?
Sometimes I don't know how to get probate lists for multifamily only. What I have run into is when I get probate data, it'll tell what type of property they own. So you could filter it on the back end, but the downside is you'd have to pay for it, you know, the whole list, and then have to filter it after the fact. But yeah, I mean, they have that.
All right. It looks like we're winding down on the questions. We're getting to the top of the hour. So everybody stay till the end. That's awesome. So here's what I've got. Ryan is amazing at what he does. Obviously, we're going to be in the Flip Hacking Live Facebook group. Like we have a ticket holder only Facebook group that we launched about a week ago. Chad went live in there, dialed sellers. There was I think there was almost 200 comments on this thing. People were in there watching, listening, and after it was blowing me up. I got 100 tags of do this again, do this again. So we're going to do that again this week. And then also Ryan and I are going to go in there this week to do a case study on one of the deals, how we found it, how we used the return mail tool that he was talking about, where it came from, everything. We'll do some preparation ahead of time. We'll go in there and we'll talk about it. If you listen to the podcast that Ryan and I did, we paused the podcast. We went and we were talking about this deal that we did together. We paused it. We went to find out all the information. Then we came back to the podcast and told the story about it. So it's kind of like that we're going to do, but it's going to be specific to this one deal. We'll have all the information up front. We'll talk about it and show you how you can do it too, using that tool. There's a lot of people that are in the can we get the link for Ryan's return mail tool and his the 7-figure house flipping and wholesaling group. If you're not in there, that's a free group that we have. Make sure you join that. Answer the questions. I have somebody that monitors that. If you don't answer the questions, you don't have to give us your email address if you don't want, but if you're on this call, we already have it. So you're already going to get emails from us. But if you don't answer the questions, we have so many people that ask to get in there. It's 50 to 100 people a day. We're just, the people that are serious, that are answering the questions, we're allowing them into the group. Okay, Flip Hacking Live. So you're here on Friday. This is Flip Hacking Friday. So we have an event coming up in just under today is 20 days to go till we start. So Ryan is amazing. He's awesome at what he does. So he was willing to give away some of his time for one-on-one calls. So here's what I'm going to do. If you don't have your ticket to Flip Hacking Live yet, go to fliphackinglive.com right now and put in the promo code Friday. So the promo code Friday will be available just for today. We'll do all the bonuses that we've done in the past. So the last 4-year recordings, Andy's seller finance training, you put in Friday. You'll get all that stuff just like we have done in the past. But the first 4 people, so the first 4 people that get a ticket, a consulting call with Ryan. So a 30-minute call one-on-one with Ryan. Talk about your, like what's going on with your marketing, give you some advice. We talked about it before, kind of like a doctor, diagnose what's going on, give you the prescription at the end, and let you go and run with it. And so the first 4 people, if you already have a ticket to Flip Hacking Live and you're like, what the heck, I already have a ticket, then go get a VIP ticket. If you get a VIP ticket, we'll do the same thing. So the first 4 people that get a ticket or a VIP ticket, you'll get a call with Ryan. So sound good? Does that work? David said, what if I'm already signed up? No. So go get a VIP ticket. And so here's what the VIP is. So real quick, Flip Hacking Live, October 15th, 16th, and 17th. It's a virtual event. You don't have to get on a plane. You don't have to get a hotel. If this is the first time you're hearing about it, you can drop all the questions and things like that in the chat. If you guys have any questions about the event, I'll stay on and answer them. But you can go to fliphackinglive.com, hear more about it. We have 24 speakers over 3 days. It's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We start at 11 o'clock Eastern. We go till 9 p.m. Eastern on Thursday and Friday. We actually go till 8:30 on Thursday, but then the VIPs have an extra hour with our surprise keynote speaker that for Q&A with him and me Thursday night. And I just said him, so I have given you like 50% of the earth it's not. So, and then Friday, we're 11 a.m. Eastern till 9 p.m. Eastern time. And then Saturday, we're 11 a.m. Eastern to 5:30 Eastern time. So 3 full days, 24 speakers. We're going to be talking about, Ryan's going to be talking, I gave him the task of like, okay, we talked about all the marketing stuff that's working now. And last year, he talked about these niche lists. What I want you to talk about at Flip Hacking Live is, what do we need to prepare for going forward? Like, what's the next marketing channels that we can get ready for with all this uncertainty and opportunity that's coming? Is I've given him the tough task in the next 3 weeks to give you the goods. And I think you can tell he's not holding anything back here. Anytime we ask something, it's like, here's how to do it. Here's what it is. So, Ryan will be presenting at the event, and he'll also have a booth at the event that you could pop in. He's going to be doing presentations and things like that at the event during the kind of lunches, dinners. We're opening up the booths after the 3rd day. So the sponsors and exhibitors don't know that, but I actually added in 2 extra times that they can meet. So the 2nd day in the morning, since we're starting late, they're going to talk Friday morning. I'm going to give them some time then, and then at the end of the event, they can stay open as long as they want. Once the event's over, that 3rd day too on Saturday. So we got a lot of time that you can meet with them and talk with them and answer questions. And they'll also be in the Facebook group, kind of answering questions and stuff like that. So go to fliphackinglive.com. You can use the promo code Friday from this call. We'll keep it active for the day. It'll give you all the bonuses. And then the first 4 people that do that or go VIP, you can get a 30-minute call with Ryan and stuff like that. So let's see. Oh, VIP. VIP gets all the recordings. So somebody asked about the event recordings. The event is going to be recorded, but it's only going to be available for VIP and all access pass ticket holders. So the general admission is live event, gets the 3 days, all the sponsors, the exhibitors, all those events and everything that we're doing. And then the VIP pass, the all access pass, is all the event recordings. It's going to take us about 30 to 60 days to get them to you, but we'll get them to you as fast as we can. We got to chop them up. We put them in a membership site for you, all that stuff. And I've also never had the opportunity to include the keynote speakers and the paid speakers and some of the bigger names in the event recordings. This is the first year that I've negotiated specifically into their contract. I've had to pay more to get access to their content, and you haven't. So it includes every speaker. There's not a speaker that won't be included in the event recordings. So like Jocko last year, he's not included in the event recordings that you have. Like, they just don't allow their IP, their content to go out there. We're locking it down on a password protected membership site. I was able to negotiate all that in. So all the VIP ticket holders will have that. There's a question and answer with me on Thursday. So that Thursday lunch session, it's a Q&A with me. Thursday night, there's the kind of like VIP reception with me and the special guest that I'm bringing in. So Q&A with him. And then Friday lunch is Q&A with Tyler Jensen, Andy McFarland, Mike Simmons. They'll all be there for Q&A on Friday. And then we're also doing laser coaching. So we're doing a 15-minute one-on-one coaching session. So a lot like what Ryan's talking about here with Andy McFarland, Mike Simmons, Tyler Jensen, Adam Ray, Jeremiah Johnson, Becca Shea, like the folks that are actually doing this business right now, you can get a 15-minute one-on-one session with them, just like what we're talking about with Ryan here. And so there's first access to that. So once it fills up with the VIPs, there might be opportunity for some general admission spots, but I doubt it. The VIPs are probably going to take all of those spots with those folks. And then there's kind of front of the line Q&A stuff for the VIPs. So that's it. Okay. If there's any questions, I'll take them, but go to fliphackinglive.com, grab your ticket, and I'm going to take a quick peek. Okay, so we've got 2 people take us up on our offer right now. So you got 2 more spots, and I can't see VIPs, but I'll look. If you already have a ticket, then you know how to get VIP access. It's in the Facebook group that we have, or you got a bunch of emails on your original email. It'll show you how to get to the VIP site. If anybody needs that, you can just email us at info@sevenfigureflipping.com. So this is an event you can't miss. I'm really excited about it. This is the 5th year we're doing it. I don't know. It's most of the people on the call, it looks like I have tickets. So Arthur said it's nice at twice that price. I like that. I'm going to put that on a billboard. Ryan, what do you think about this event? Like, maybe give your feedback for the last couple minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've had the pleasure of going to the event several times, and if I go back to just 5 years ago, I didn't realize that anything like this even existed. Like how you could have this many people sharing exactly, what they're doing in their business. And I thought the concept was cool the first year I went, but then after I actually went to the event, I could not believe how open everybody was with, sharing exactly what they were doing. And what I found was, the more people shared, the more other people felt like that they felt free to share too. And you had this community of people that came together and, just really laid out exactly what was working in their business all across the nation. And I thought, man, this is unbelievable that these people come together and share this type of information. And it just keeps happening every single year. I'm blown away by the amount of information out there that's relevant and that's working for people all over the place. So I think it's an incredible event. I'm super excited about this year's event. I can't wait to be a part of it.
I finished my presentation. I got the framework right here, this huge whiteboard with it all on there. Now I got to figure out how to put it all together and fit it in like 45 minutes. So somebody asked, like, how can we get the replay of this? We'll probably put this on our YouTube channel. So the 7-Figure Flipping YouTube channel, you can get it there. We'll put this up there for like a marketing talk. And then we may email it out to everybody, something like that. So you can get the replay that way. I've got some people asking about Flip Hacking Live. If you have a ticket to this event, make sure that you're in the Flip Hacking Live Facebook group. So make sure you request access for that. We're doing some really cool stuff in there. So I've noticed only about, under half of the ticket holders are actually in there. So I want to make sure that as many people know about it as possible. So if you're on this call, you have a ticket, you don't search Flip Hacking Live. If you have any questions, just email us at info@7/groups/Flip Hacking Live. And you can jump in there. Same thing, fill out the questions. Make sure you use the same email address. You tell us what email address you used to buy your ticket. We'll search it, make sure you have a ticket, and then let you in. So we're doing some cool stuff in there. Next week, we're going to have Chad dial in sellers again, and then me and Ryan are going to go in there and kind of break down some a deal that we did and show you how we did it, what it looks like, some of the numbers. Yeah.
Hey, when you were giving out the link a minute ago to the group, it cut out.
Facebook.com/groups/Flip Hacking Live. I think that's off the top of my head. If you go and search Flip Hacking Live group, you'll probably find it. I think it's searchable. If not, you can email us but if you have a ticket and you're a ticket holder, get in there. There's some really cool stuff going on. And we've got some fun stuff planned. We'll probably do some giveaways, some contests, all kinds of stuff coming up. So
I'll drop it down. I just dropped it in the Zoom.
Is it right? I hope it's right.
Yeah. You're right. Okay. You're right.
All right, good. Okay, that's all we got. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. I'm really having fun doing these, and hopefully you're getting a lot of value out of it, and it's helping you move the needle forward. So next week, I have no idea what I'm going to do next week, but we'll do something else. If you guys have any things that you want to do, then put it in our Facebook group. I will say I am going to do a contest inside the Facebook group here, that 7-figure housing and wholesaling group, to grow the group. So watch out for that. I got some ideas. So invite some friends, get ahead of the game, and invite some people that you think need to be in that group. I want to get to 10,000 people in there before Flip Hacking Live. I'm going to see if we can do it. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thanks.